My parents used my $600,000 accident settlement to fund my brother's lavish lifestyle, leaving me with nothing for my recovery. They had no idea my lawyer put a clawback clause on their house. The worst part about waking up from a coma isn't the pain or confusion, it's realizing that everything you thought was a nightmare is actually your new reality. I learned this the hard way 3 years ago, when I opened my eyes to find myself trapped in a body that felt like it belonged to someone else. My name is Natalie, and I was 26 when a drunk driver decided to play pinball with my Toyota Corolla on a rainy Tuesday evening. I remember fragments, the screech of tires, the metallic crunch of impact, and the strange weightless feeling as my car rolled down the embankment. Then nothing. "Welcome back, sweetheart." Mom's voice was the first thing I heard. She was perched beside my hospital bed, perfectly manicured as always, not a hair out of place. "We've been so worried." I tried to speak but my throat felt like sandpaper. Dad appeared on my other side, pressing a cup of water to my lips. "Easy does it, kiddo. You've been out for almost 2 weeks." The next few days were a blur of doctors, tests, and devastating news. Multiple spinal fractures, severe nerve damage. The words partial paralysis and long-term rehabilitation floated around my room like unwelcome ghosts. "But the good news," Dr. Harrison said, trying to sound optimistic, "is that the driver's insurance is paying out a substantial settlement, $600,000 to cover your ongoing care and rehabilitation." Mom squeezed my hand. "We'll handle everything, sweetie. You just focus on getting better." I should have noticed the gleam in her eyes when she said that. My brother Quentin visited a week later, bringing his girlfriend Kayla and his usual larger-than-life presence. "Look who's finally awake," he boomed, making my head throb. "Man, sis, you really know how to get attention, don't you?" "Quentin," Dad warned, but there was no real authority in his voice. There never was when it came to my brother. "What? I'm just saying, it's kind of perfect timing. My new business venture is just taking off and not now." Mom cut him off, but they shared a look I couldn't quite read. My friend Lena, a lawyer I'd known since college, visited regularly. She helped me understand the settlement details, explaining everything in her calm, methodical way. "You need to be careful with this money, Nat," she said one afternoon when we were alone. "It needs to last." "Mom and Dad are handling it," I told her. "They've set up some kind of trust." Lena's expression tightened. "Let me add something to the paperwork, just in case." "In case of what?" She didn't answer directly, just squeezed my hand. "Trust me on this one." I didn't understand her concern then. I was too focused on the basics. Learning to sit up without passing out, fighting through the nerve pain that felt like lightning through my legs, trying to accept that my pre-med dreams were probably over. My physical therapist Lucia became my lifeline. She pushed me hard but knew exactly when to ease up. "Your body is healing," she'd say, "but your spirit needs to heal too." One evening, about a month after I woke up, Dad came to visit wearing his work coat despite the warm weather. As he hugged me awkwardly around the monitors, something fell from his pocket, a bank letter. I managed to snag it when he wasn't looking. The letter mentioned a disbursement adjustment to an account in Nevada. That was strange. We lived in Michigan, and as far as I knew, we had no connections to Nevada. "Everything okay?" Dad asked, noticing my expression. I forced a smile, just tired. "Hey, when can we start looking at those specialized therapy programs Dr. Harrison mentioned?" "Oh well," Dad suddenly became very interested in his phone. "Your mother's handling all that. We need to be strategic with the funds, you know. Make sure everything's properly invested." That night, I lay awake in my hospital bed, the letter's words burning in my mind. Something felt wrong. But I couldn't quite piece it together yet. I thought about Lena's cryptic warning about Mom's endless deflections regarding the settlement money, about Quentin's new business venture. My phone buzzed with a text from my brother. "Great news. Just signed the lease on my new office space. Mom says you'll be so proud when you see what we've done with the investment." Investment. The word hit me like a second car crash. I stared at the ceiling, my hands clenching the scratchy hospital blanket. They wouldn't, I thought. They couldn't. But deep down, I already knew they had. Coming home felt like entering a funhouse mirror version of my old life. Everything looked almost right, but not quite. Mom had installed a basic metal ramp over the front steps, the cheapest model available according to the sticker still stuck to its underside. My bedroom had been moved to the first floor into what used to be Dad's office. "We did our best with the modifications," Mom said, wheeling me inside. "The contractor wanted a fortune for those fancy grab bars and wider doorways. But we found some reasonable alternatives." Reasonable alternatives meant I could barely fit my wheelchair through the bathroom door, and reaching the sink was like solving a puzzle every morning. "When can we start the full renovation?" I asked during dinner that first night. Dr. Harrison said proper accessibility is crucial for— "Oh honey," Mom interrupted, exchanging glances with Dad. "We need to be practical about expenses. There's not enough left for all that premium stuff." "Not enough left?" The words hit me like ice water. "But the settlement is being carefully managed," Dad said quickly, "for everyone's benefit. The next week, Quentin hosted a grand opening party for his new business venture, some kind of tech startup involving cryptocurrency and social media influencers. I couldn't follow his explanation, but I could certainly follow the money trail. The party was held at his new downtown office space, all gleaming glass and modern furniture. A champagne tower sparkled in the corner, and waiters circulated with expensive hors d'oeuvres. Pretty impressive, right? Kayla sidled up to my wheelchair, champagne flute in hand. Quentin says the family support made all this possible. Isn't it amazing how everyone's coming together? I forced a smile that felt like broken glass. Yeah, amazing. During my next physical therapy session, I couldn't focus. Lucia noticed immediately. Your mind's somewhere else today, she said, helping me with my exercises. Want to talk about it? The whole story spilled out. The settlement, the mysterious bank transfers, Quentin's sudden prosperity. Lucia's hand stilled on my leg. Natalie, you know you still have rights, right? That money was meant for your care. I know, I whispered. Oh, but what can I do? They're my family. Family doesn't mean they own you. She hesitated. And maybe you have more power than you think. That night, I called Lena for the first time since leaving the hospital. I was wondering when you contact me, she said. How much have they taken? I don't know exactly, but Quentin's new office alone must have cost send me everything you can find. Bank statements, transfer records, anything. And Natalie, remember that clause we added? It's still there waiting. Before I could ask what she meant, Mom burst into my room without knocking. Quentin's got a surprise for everyone, she announced. Come to the driveway. There, gleaming under the streetlights, sat a brand new Porsche. Quentin was leaning against it, grinning like a game show host. Pretty sweet. Right? He called out. The business is really taking off. This is just the beginning. I watched as Mom and Dad fawned over the car, their faces glowing with pride. Kayla snapped photos for social media. No one seemed to notice or care that I had to park my wheelchair at an awkward angle just to see past them. Later, as everyone headed inside for celebratory drinks, I heard Dad and Quentin talking near the garage. The insurance payment cleared? Quentin asked. Yeah. But we need to be more careful, Dad replied. Let's just hope she never finds out. Relax. She's not exactly in a position to do anything about it. I sat there in the darkness, my hands gripping my wheelchair's arms until my knuckles turned white. They thought I was helpless, weak, just a burden to be managed. That night, I sent Lena a text. Tell me about this clause. Her response came immediately. Come to my office tomorrow. It's time you learned about your insurance policy's fine print. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling I could barely see through the darkness. The same ceiling my parents couldn't afford to install proper grab bars under somehow. The house creaked and settled around me. And somewhere upstairs, I could hear Quentin's muffled laughter. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Lena. By the way, keep every receipt, every bank statement, every email you can find. Document everything, trust me. For the first time since the accident, I felt something other than pain and helplessness, something sharp and cold and clarifying. They thought they could steal my future because I couldn't walk. Fine, let them think that. Let them think I was just their token disabled daughter, grateful for their scraps of attention and care. They had no idea what was coming. I decided to give them one chance to come clean. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe I was wrong. I wheeled myself into the living room where Mom was arranging flowers, always keeping up appearances, and Dad was pretending to read the newspaper. We need to talk about the settlement money, I said quietly. The newspaper crinkled as Dad's hands tightened. Mom didn't turn around. What about it, sweetie? Her voice was honey sweet, warning bells wrapped in sugar. Where is it? Mom finally turned, her smile perfect and practiced. It's being invested, dear, for the future of the family. My future, I corrected. It was meant for my care. And you're being cared for, aren't you? She gestured around the room. You have a roof over your head, food on the table, and a bathroom I can barely use. No proper therapy equipment. No, those things are expensive, Dad cut in. We had to make practical decisions. Like buying Quentin a Porsche? The room went silent. Mom's smile flickered but held. Your brother's business ventures will benefit everyone, she said. The money will grow, and then we can look at those fancy modifications you want. When? Don't use that tone with your mother, Dad warned. I pulled out my phone where I documented everything. The settlement was deposited 4 months ago. Since then, there have been transfers to Nevada, payments to luxury car dealers, and $100,000 to Q-Tech Ventures. Want to explain that? Mom's smile vanished. Have you been snooping through our papers? They're my papers, my money. You ungrateful little, Mom caught herself, after everything we've done for you. Done for me? You stole from me. We did not steal, Dad said firmly. We invested in Quentin, like always. As if summoned, my brother appeared in the doorway, Kayla hovering behind him. What's all the shouting about? He asked, though his smirk suggested he knew exactly what was happening. Your sister is being dramatic about money, Mom said. Again? Quentin rolled his eyes. You should be grateful you at least have a roof over your head. Do you know how expensive it is to take care of you? Not as expensive as your car payments, I shot back. That car is a business investment, he sneered. Something you wouldn't understand sitting around all day. I sit around all day because I can't afford the therapy I need. Oh, here we go with the guilt trip. Quentin threw up his hands. You know what? You're lucky we didn't put you in a home. Most families wouldn't deal with this burden. Mom didn't even scold him for saying it. She just stood there arranging her stupid flowers. I pulled out my phone again and started recording. So just to be clear, you all think it's okay to use my settlement money meant for my medical care, to fund Quentin's business? We're not having this conversation, Dad said. Why not? Afraid of saying it out loud? The money is tied up in promising ventures, Mom insisted. Everything we've done is for this family's future. My future matters too. Your future is secure, Dad said. You have us. I laughed and it wasn't a happy sound. Yeah. I have you. Taking my money, treating me like a burden and expecting me to be grateful for it. Later that night, I heard them arguing upstairs. I wheeled closer to the stairs recording on my phone. She's getting suspicious, Dad was saying. We need to fix this before she finds out everything. Fix what? Mom snapped white. We did what we had to do. Quentin needed the capital, and she wasn't using the money anyway. It was supposed to be for her care. She has care. Basic care is enough. Quentin has real potential. He just needs support to succeed. I sent the recording to Lena immediately. Her response came quickly. Perfect. Keep gathering evidence. The trap is almost ready. I glanced at Dad's tablet left carelessly on the coffee table. He never was good with technology or passwords. 3 tries later, I was in his email. There it was. A transfer receipt from my trust fund to Quentin's personal account. $200,000 labeled as family investment. I forwarded it to Lena, then wheeled myself back to my room. Through the wall, I could hear Quentin and Kayla laughing about something in the kitchen, probably planning their next vacation with my money. Just wait, I whispered to myself. Keep laughing, keep spending. Keep thinking you've won because Lena was right. The trap was almost ready, and none of them saw it coming. You're pushing yourself too hard, Lucia said during our therapy session, but I could tell she was impressed. 3 sets yesterday, 4 today? I need them to think I'm getting weaker, I explained, powering through another rep. The more helpless they think I am, the less they'll suspect. Lucia checked that the door was closed before speaking. Lena called me, asked if I'd testify about your reduced therapy schedule and the impact it's having on your recovery. Will you? She squeezed my shoulder. Every damn word will be true. At home, I played my part perfectly. I dropped things more often, asked for help with basic tasks, acted increasingly dependent. Mom ate it up, cooing over me like I was a child. See? She told Dad one evening. She's doing fine with the basic care. We made the right choice. I recorded that too. Lena's office was my sanctuary. We met weekly, building our case piece by piece. The clause is beautiful in its simplicity, she explained, spreading papers across her desk. If fraudulent use of settlement funds is proven, the court can authorize seizure of any asset used as collateral in the trust agreement. And what asset was that? Her smile was razor sharp. Your parents' house. They signed it over as guarantee when they became trustees. Probably didn't even read the fine print. They never do, I said. They're too used to being in control. Right on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Quentin's hosting an investor meeting at the house tonight. Please stay in your room. We need to make a good impression. I showed Lena the message. She started typing on her computer. Perfect timing, she said. Because guess what your brother's investors don't know? His company is being funded with stolen medical settlement money. One anonymous tip to the SEC and not yet, I said. We need one more piece. That night, I pretended to sleep through the investor meeting, but my phone was recording everything through the thin walls. The initial capital came from family support, Quentin was saying. We believe in investing in our own substantial investment, someone commented. Family must really believe in you. Oh, they do. Quentin laughed. Let's just say we had a windfall, and we knew exactly how to put it to good use. The next morning, Mom and Dad were huddled in the kitchen, talking in low voices. We need another 100,000, Dad was saying. The first-round investors want to see more skin in the game. We can take out a second mortgage, Mom suggested. The house has plenty of equity. I wheeled myself to Lucia's office instead of our usual therapy room. They're going to take out another loan, I told her, using the house as collateral. The same house that's already collateral for your trust, she said, understanding immediately. Does Lena know? Texted her on the way here. She says it's perfect. The more debt they pile on, the harder they'll fall. I worked extra hard in therapy that day, but made sure to wince and struggle when Mom picked me up. Maybe we should scale back the sessions, she suggested, watching me fake grimace as I transferred to the car. They're clearly too much for you. Whatever you think is best, Mom. At home, I found Dad's tablet again. This time, there was an email thread about the new loan application. He'd even attached a photo of his driver's license for verification. I forwarded everything to Lena. Her response was immediate. Got it. All the pieces are in place, ready when you are. I looked around the house they'd signed away without reading the fine print. The house they were about to borrow against, not knowing it was already forfeit. My phone buzzed again. Mom. Quentin's investors loved the presentation. They're going to fund his next phase. All our sacrifices are finally paying off. I wheeled myself to the window, watching Mom and Dad help Quentin load presentation materials into his Porsche. They were laughing, celebrating another win for their golden boy. Hey sis, Quentin called out, seeing me at the window. Thanks for staying quiet last night. Wouldn't want your wheelchair ramps ruining the aesthetic. Right? I smiled and waved. Let them think I was the grateful quiet daughter. Let them think I was weak. I opened my laptop and typed a single email to Lena. Do it. Her reply came seconds later. Papers will be filed in the morning. Are you sure you're ready? I looked at my reflection in the window. The daughter they thought they could steal from. The sister they thought they could silence. The woman they thought they had broken. I'm ready. The trap was set, and tomorrow it would snap shut. The bank liaison arrived at exactly 9 SOST AM, her heels clicking on our front walkway. I watched through the window as Mom opened the door, perfect hostess smile in place. Mrs. Boyd, I'm Amanda Torres from First National. I'm here about the property inspection. Mom's smile flickered. Property inspection? We haven't scheduled anything. It's a standard procedure before asset seizure, Amanda explained, consulting her tablet. As per the court filing this morning. Court filing. There must be some mistake. I wheeled myself into the foyer. No mistake, Mom. The color drained from her face. Natalie, what did you do? I protected my future since you wouldn't. Dad emerged from his study, drawn by the commotion. What's going on? Sir, Amanda said, I need to document the current state of the property. The court has authorized an inspection in preparation for potential seizure under Trust Violation Clause 247B. Trust violation? Dad's voice went up an octave. What trust violation? The one you triggered when you stole my settlement money, I said quietly. Remember that paperwork you signed without reading? The house was collateral. Mom's perfect mask cracked. You can't do this. We're your parents. Parents don't steal from their disabled daughter. We didn't steal, Mom shrieked. We invested. In Quentin's failed businesses, in his Porsche, in everything except my care. Amanda cleared her throat. I need to begin the inspection. Please don't remove any fixtures or make any alterations to the property. As if on cue, Quentin burst through the front door. What's this about a court filing? My investors are freaking out. Your sister, Mom spat, is trying to take our house. Not trying, I corrected. Taking legally, just like you took my future. Quentin advanced on my wheelchair. You ungrateful little I wouldn't, a new voice said. My cousin Darnell stood in the doorway, his massive frame blocking the light. Step away from her. This is family business, Quentin snapped. Darnell's smile was cold. Exactly why I'm here. Family. Mom turned to me, switching tactics. Her voice went soft, pleading. Sweetheart, be reasonable. Think about what this will do to our reputation, to the family name. Should have thought about that before you emptied my trust fund. We can fix this, Dad said desperately. We'll take out a loan, replace the money. With what collateral? I asked. The house you already signed away? Or maybe Quentin's Porsche? Amanda continued her inspection, taking photos and measurements, seemingly oblivious to the family drama unfolding around her. This will kill your mother, Dad tried again. Like making me skip therapy sessions didn't kill me? Like watching Quentin blow my care money on crypto didn't kill me? You're being dramatic, Quentin scoffed. I pulled out my phone. Really? Let's hear what you all have to say about it. I pressed play. Mom's voice filled the room. She wasn't using the money anyway. Then Dad's, we need to fix this before she finds out everything. And finally, Quentin's drunken boast to his investors. Let's just say we had a windfall, and we knew exactly how to put it to good use. The room fell silent except for Amanda's clicking camera and tapping keyboard. You recorded us, Mom whispered. I learned from the best, Mom. Always keep evidence. Right? Isn't that what you taught me? The inspection is complete, Amanda announced. You'll receive formal documentation within 3 business days. Please remember, no alterations to the property. As she left, Darnell moved to stand behind my wheelchair. A silent guardian. You have 30 days, I said quietly. The court will give you 30 days to vacate. You can't be serious. Quentin laughed, but there was fear in his eyes. Where are we supposed to go? Maybe sell the Porsche? I hear those crypto investments aren't doing so well anyway. Mom collapsed onto the stairs, her perfect posture finally breaking. Please, Natalie, be reasonable. We can talk about this. Like, you talked to me about spending my settlement. Like, you talked to me about cutting my therapy. Like you talked to me about anything. Dad just stood there looking old and deflated. We thought we were doing the right thing. No, I said, wheeling myself towards my room. You thought I was too weak to fight back. That's a very different thing. This isn't over, Quentin called after me. I stopped and turned. Actually, it is. Check your investor emails. Turns out the SEC is very interested in medical settlement money being used for unauthorized business ventures. As I closed my door, I heard Mom start to cry. Not her usual manipulative tears, but real broken sobs. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. The court order arrived on a Tuesday morning. Mom refused to open it, so Dad did, his hands shaking as he broke the seal. 30 days, he confirmed, voice hollow. They're giving us 30 days to vacate. Quentin stormed in, waving his phone. My accounts are frozen, all of them. What did you do? Me? I raised an eyebrow. I didn't do anything, but it turns out using fraudulently obtained medical settlement money for business ventures is illegal. Who knew? You've ruined everything, he shouted. My investors are pulling out. Kayla's talking about taking a break. The SEC is what? I interrupted. Investigating where your startup capital came from? Funny how that works. Mom appeared in the doorway looking like she'd aged 10 years overnight. I just got off the phone with the country club. They've suspended our membership pending the legal situation. Not the country club, I gasped mockingly. However, will we survive? You're killing your mother's spirit, she whispered. No, Mom, you killed mine first multiple times. Every time you chose Quentin over my health. A loud banging from upstairs made us all jump. Darnell, who'd appointed himself my unofficial bodyguard, appeared at the top of the stairs. Your brother's girlfriend is clearing out her stuff, he reported, and taking some family jewelry with her. What? Mom ran upstairs, her social disgrace temporarily forgotten. Quentin's face went pale. She wouldn't, but she did. Darnell smiled. I watched her pack up your grandmother's pearls and that vintage Rolex. Said something about compensation for wasted time. Those weren't hers to take. Mom's voice shrieked from above. Like my settlement, it wasn't yours to take, I called back. Dad sank into a chair looking defeated. Natalie, please, we can work something out. The house has been in the family for generations. Should have thought about that before you signed it away. Did you even read the trust agreement? His silence was answer enough. Quentin paced the room like a caged animal. This is just spite, pure spite. No, I corrected him, this is consequences. Remember when you said I should be grateful you didn't put me in a home, that I was lucky to have a roof over my head? Well, now it's my roof. The doorbell rang. Darnell answered it to find Lena standing there with a contractor. Hope you don't mind, she said brightly, walking in. We're just here to measure for the renovations. Full accessibility upgrade, proper wheelchair ramps, modified bathroom fixtures. You can't do this, Mom said, coming back downstairs. We haven't even moved out yet. Just planning ahead, Lena replied. 30 days goes by quickly. The contractor moved through the house, taking measurements and making notes. He passed Quentin's room just as Kayla emerged, dragging a heavy suitcase. Keep the Rolex, she spat at him. Sell it, you'll need the money more than me. Mom followed her, pleading. Kayla dear, those are family heirlooms. Family? Kayla laughed bitterly. You mean the family that stole from their own daughter? The family that's about to be homeless? No, thanks, I'm out. She stormed past us all, the front door slamming behind her. Dad finally spoke up, his voice broken. I'm sorry, Natalie, I should have stopped this. Should have protected you. But you didn't, I said quietly. You never did. What do you want? Mom asked. Money? We'll find a way to pay you back. I want what was already mine, my settlement, my independence, my future. And our future? Quentin demanded. Where are we supposed to go? Maybe try one of those budget apartments you said would be good enough for me, the ones you suggested when you wanted to sell this house for your business. The contractor finished his measurements and approached me. We can start work in about 5 weeks, full accessibility throughout, therapy room and a converted bedroom, everything up to medical code. Perfect, I said. That's exactly what the settlement was meant for in the first place. Mom started crying again, but I'd grown immune to her tears. They were just water now, not guilt. Lena touched my shoulder. Need anything else today? I looked around at my family. Mom's mascara-streaked face, Dad's defeated slump, Quentin's impotent rage. The people who thought they could steal my future because I couldn't walk. No, I said. I think everything's exactly where it should be. The contractor's pencil scratched against his notepad, measuring out my new future in inches and feet. Every mark was a victory, every number a step toward independence. They had taken everything from me. Now I was taking it back. Moving day arrived with a gray sky and scattered rain. I watched from the front window as Dad loaded boxes into their rented U-Haul. Mom hadn't emerged from the house yet, still making a show of her devastation. Need help with that? Darnell called out to Dad, who was struggling with a heavy box. We don't need your charity, Mom snapped, finally appearing with her designer handbag clutched like a shield. Wasn't offering any, Darnell replied smoothly. Just thought you might want to avoid dropping your precious china. Quentin appeared last, carrying only a small duffel bag. His Porsche was already gone, sold to cover legal fees and investor paybacks. Happy now? He asked, glaring at me. Got your revenge? This isn't revenge, I said. This is justice. Keep telling yourself that. He kicked a box viciously. You've destroyed this family. No. You all did that when you stole from me. Mom approached my wheelchair, making one last attempt. Sweetheart, there's still time to reconsider. Think about what you're doing. Think about motherly love. Motherly love? I cut her off. Was it motherly love when you canceled my therapy sessions to pay for Quentin's office furniture? Was it motherly love when you watched me struggle in a bathroom I could barely use while spending my settlement on his failed ventures? We were trying to secure everyone's future. No. You were betting my future on Quentin's dreams. How would that work out? Dad paused in his loading. Natalie, please. Your mother's heart don't, I warned. Don't you dare make me the villain here. You had choices. You made them. These are the consequences. Lucia arrived then, carrying supplies for our afternoon therapy session. She'd be using the newly converted bedroom, my old bedroom, as a proper therapy space. Perfect timing, I said. You can help me check out the renovations. This is still our home, Mom protested weakly. Not anymore, Lona said, appearing with the final paperwork. As of noon today, the property transfers fully to Natalie. You need to be out by 2 p.m. Mom collapsed onto a chair, one of the few pieces of furniture remaining. Where did we go wrong? You want the list chronologically or alphabetically? I asked. You harbor such hate in your heart, she whispered. No, Mom, this isn't hate, this is balance. This is what happens when you treat your daughter like an ATM and expect her to thank you for it. Quentin stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. Through the glass, I watched him walk away. No car to drive off in, no girlfriend to run to, no investors to bail him out. Dad finished loading the last box. The apartment's not much, but we'll manage. Like I had to manage? I asked with inadequate care and empty promises. He looked at me for a long moment. I failed you. I see that now. Yes, you did. I'm sorry. I know, but sorry doesn't pay for the therapy I missed or the independence you stole. Mom finally stood, straightening her designer clothes. Probably the last ones she'd be able to afford for a while. This house has been in our family for generations, and now it's in my part of the family, I said. The part you forgot about while chasing Quentin's dreams. They left quietly after that. The U-Haul coughing to life in the driveway. I watched them pull away, Mom not looking back, Dad checking the rearview mirror one last time. Lucia wheeled me through the house, now fitted with proper ramps, wider doorways, and all the modifications that should have been done months ago. How does it feel? She asked. Like justice. Darnell started bringing in my new medical equipment, a proper therapy table, exercise machines, everything the settlement should have bought in the first place. The mail arrived as we were setting up. Among the envelopes was a letter from a funeral home. I opened it with trembling fingers. Your Aunt Margaret passed last week, Lena explained, having known about it already. She left you something. Inside was a notice of inheritance, a second chance at security, but there was a condition, full severance of ties with Mom. She knew, I whispered. Aunt Margaret knew what they were doing. What are you going to do? Lucia asked. I looked around my house, truly mine now, set up for my needs, not their greed. The therapy room waited, properly equipped. The accessible bathroom gleamed. Everything was as it should have been from the start. I lit a candle in the window, watching the flame flicker. The inheritance letter waited for my answer, but I wasn't ready to give it. Not yet. Some choices I'd learned deserved time to breathe. The autumn wind rustled through my newly installed automatic doors as I wheeled into my home office. My laptop displayed a fresh email from Lena. Another update about Quentin's legal troubles. The SEC investigation had expanded, and his investors were filing their own lawsuits. My phone buzzed a text from Mom. Your brother might have to declare bankruptcy. Please, we need help. I set the phone down without replying. The last 3 messages had been similar. Pleas for money, attempts at guilt, desperate bargaining. The doorbell rang. Darnell answered it, then called out, It's Lucia and someone else. I wheeled into the living room to find Lucia standing with a young woman in a wheelchair. This is Sarah, Lucia said. Remember how we talked about using part of the house as a therapy center for others? Sarah smiled nervously. I heard what you did. Standing up to your family like that, it gave me courage to fight my own insurance battle. Before I could respond, another text came through. This time from Dad. Saw your interview in the Disability Rights newsletter. Proud of you. I know that doesn't make up for anything. He was right, it didn't. Come on, I told Sarah, leading her to the therapy room. Let me show you what proper accessibility looks like. As Lucia started their session, I wheeled to my office to finish some work. I'd found a remote position in patient advocacy, helping others navigate the medical system I'd learned to fight. The mail arrived, another letter from the funeral home about Aunt Margaret's inheritance. The deadline for accepting the conditions was approaching. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. Through the security camera I saw Kayla standing there shifting nervously. "What do you want?" I asked through the intercom. "To apologize," she said, "and to return something." I let her in. She placed Grandma's pearls on my desk. "I was angry," she explained, "at Quentin, at your parents, at everyone. But taking these was wrong." "Why return them now?" "Because I saw your interview too, about fighting for what's rightfully yours. Made me realize I was just being spiteful. Unlike them, you chose to make it right." She nodded. "Quentin's working at an insurance company now, entry level. Your mom's selling her designer clothes online. Your dad," she hesitated, "he's actually going to therapy. Says he needs to understand why he failed you." I hadn't known that last part. After she left I called Lena. "I've made a decision about Aunt Margaret's inheritance," I told her. "And I'm accepting it, but I want to use part of it to start a foundation for others like me, people fighting for their right to proper care. Your mother won't like being cut off officially. My mother stopped having a say in my life when she chose Quentin's dreams over my needs." That evening, as Sarah finished her therapy session, she paused by my desk. "Thank you," she said, "not just for sharing your space, but for showing me that fighting back isn't wrong." I thought about Mom's texts, Dad's therapy sessions, Quentin's new humble life, and Kayla's returned pearls. Fighting back isn't wrong, I agreed, but neither is moving forward. I picked up my phone and typed a response to Dad. "Proud isn't enough, but change might be a start." Then I wheeled myself to the front window, the same window where I'd once watched helplessly as they spent my future. Now I watched Sarah navigate her wheelchair down my properly graded ramp, heading toward her own future, stronger for having seen mine. Lucia appeared beside me. "Ready for your session?" "Actually," I said, "I think I'm ready for everything." I signed the inheritance acceptance papers that evening, adding my foundation plans as a codicil. Aunt Margaret would have appreciated that, using money to help others fight back, to claim their rights, to demand better. The house creaked softly around me, but it wasn't the sound of secrets anymore. It was the sound of justice, of consequences, of strength. My phone lit up one last time, a text from an unknown number. "Saw your interview. I'm fighting my parents too. They think my disability means they can control my settlement. Can you help?" I smiled and typed back, "Yes. And I know exactly where to start. Because that's what justice looks like. Not just winning your own fight, but helping others win theirs." I never wanted revenge. I wanted what they stole from me. Control over my own future. Turns out, getting the house back was just the beginning.
After my parents passed away in a car accident, my in-laws started treating me poorly, almost like a servant. One day my father-in-law invited his boss over for dinner and told me I had to serve him, while I had to serve him. While serving the food, his boss suddenly froze when he saw my family necklace and called out my name in surprise. My in-laws began to tremble. "Hello, my name is Elizabeth and I'm 26 years old. I became an orphan when I was young because my parents sadly died in a car accident. Since they didn't have any family to take care of me, I was placed in an orphanage. I spent about 3 years there before I was adopted. My adoptive parents turned out to be billionaires, which changed my life completely. After that, I enjoyed a wealthy and fulfilling life. They didn't want to make my adoption a big deal, so they kept it low-key. They believed in doing good things without drawing too much attention to themselves. When I became an adult and moved into my own place, my adoptive parents decided to expand their business. They took a trip to Europe to look for new opportunities. It was during this time that I met Stephen, who is now my ex-husband. We met in college and hit it off right away. After just a few conversations, I found myself really liking him. Stephen was a cheerful and caring guy, and as we went on dates, we officially became a couple. We seemed to have the perfect relationship, but there was one major issue. Stephen's family did not like me. The first time I met them was after we graduated college. Stephen wanted to introduce me to his parents only when we were both settled in our lives, meaning we both had good jobs. He had warned me that his parents could be a bit judgmental when it came to who their children dated, and he wanted me to make a great impression. I was nervous about meeting them. By the time Stephen introduced me to his parents, we had been dating for 4 years, and we were also engaged. I thought that might complicate things since his parents didn't even know me as his girlfriend. I remember feeling anxious about it with Stephen the day before our meeting. "They're going to hate me," I told him. "They won't, I promise," Stephen reassured me. "Do you really think they won't be shocked when they find out we're engaged?" "Well, yeah, but I don't think it'll be that big of a deal." "Are you serious? You were nervous about introducing me to them because you know how judgmental they are. You really think telling them we're engaged won't make them judge me even more?" "Look, even if they do judge, will it really matter what they say?" "It won't matter to me, but I'm not sure about you. You always seem so careful about what they think. I promise it won't affect me at all." "Elizabeth, all right, if you say so, but do you think we should maybe wait to tell them we're engaged? Like a month later? Will that make you feel better about this whole thing?" "I'm fine with whatever you decide. I think we should keep it a secret for now, just in case. I'll do anything to win them over. You don't have to worry. I'll be with you no matter what." "Thanks, Stephen." The main reason I had been so anxious was that every time I suggested to Stephen that he tell his parents about me, he would get upset and say they wouldn't approve. I started to understand why he felt that way. Stephen's family was quite wealthy and loved to live in luxury. They wanted the same for their children, and they only accepted their kids dating people who were just as rich or even richer. At that time, my life didn't match up to their standards of wealth. I hadn't told Stephen much about my family because I didn't see the point. Plus, by the time I figured out why he was so hesitant to let me meet his parents, I felt it was even less necessary for them to know who my father was. I wanted them to like me for who I am, not for my background. I foolishly believed that they could appreciate me without focusing on my money, but I was wrong. We decided to meet Stephen's parents at a fancy restaurant. As we walked in, Stephen held my hand tightly. I wore my engagement ring around my neck so I could keep it close without drawing attention to it. But as soon as we arrived at our table, I could see that his parents were already upset. Stephen warned me to expect that because they were strict about being on time. We had arrived exactly 2 minutes late, so we were already off to a bad start. His parents looked me up and down with disdain, and then they ignored me for a while as they chatted with Stephen. I felt so small in their presence. The longer they acted like I wasn't there, the stronger my urge grew to leave. I kept my head down, trying to avoid their gaze, until finally Stephen spoke up to get their attention. "Mom, Dad, you can't just keep talking to me like this. This is my wonderful girlfriend Elizabeth." "Oh, hello. It's a pleasure to meet both of you," I said, wishing I could honestly say the same. "Hi," his mother replied, her tone icy. "What?" I thought, surprised. "I'm just speaking the truth," she said. "So, Elizabeth, I heard you and Stephen met in college." "Is that right?" she continued. "Yes, we did. We happened to share some classes together." "And how did you manage to attend this college?" "From what I know, the tuition is quite high and it's a tough place to get into." "Dad, that's enough," Stephen interrupted. "You will not speak to your father that way. He's asking a valid question, Elizabeth. Please answer him." "Well, I got a full ride there. I'm really grateful because not only did I learn a lot, but I also got to meet Stephen, which has been one of the best things that's happened to me." "Of course it's one of the best things for you," his mother sneered. "He's loaded, and you need that kind of money. At least you have some brains because your looks aren't all that impressive, you know?" "That's enough," Stephen said angrily. "We're leaving. Come on, Elizabeth." As we walked out, I was in shock at how his parents had treated me. I couldn't believe people could be so cruel, especially to someone's face. I felt too stunned to even process my emotions. The car ride home was silent because Stephen was furious. When we finally reached home, he checked to see if I was okay, but honestly, I didn't even know how to feel at that moment. I had dressed up nicely and made sure to sit properly. I didn't order anything expensive, yet somehow, without me saying a word, Laura and Eric had made their judgments about me. After that awful dinner, Stephen didn't talk to his parents for a while. They sent him a text saying that we had been very disrespectful for walking out on them during lunch. Stephen didn't respond right away, and only texted them about a month later to tell them that he had gotten engaged. His parents were not happy about the news, but Stephen warned them that he wouldn't contact them again if they said anything bad about me. Stephen's parents offered to pay for our wedding, but only if they could make all the decisions. Neither of us wanted that, so we decided to do the next best thing: elope. My adoptive parents were in Europe, but they knew about our plan to elope. They were just happy that I was happy, and they even sent Stephen and me a gift. Stephen raised his eyebrows when they sent us a pretty expensive painting, but I brushed it off, thinking they just had the money to spend on it. After we got married, we met Laura and Eric at a party they hosted to celebrate their anniversary. To be honest, I was somewhat happy they invited me, even though they didn't seem to like me much. But when we arrived, I was ignored by everyone. If you think being ignored by 2 people is embarrassing, try being ignored by about 30. I stayed close to Stephen, but no one made an effort to talk to me. Whenever I tried to join a conversation, people would look me up and down and walk away, or they would keep talking to Stephen as if I hadn't even spoken. By the end of the night, I was in tears. I felt humiliated and disgusted by how everyone was treating me. Towards the end of the evening, the crowd asked Laura and Eric to give a speech. I was tired and wanted to go home, but during their speech, they started talking about how grateful they were to have everyone in the room in their lives. That was just the first jab they threw at me. They kept making more jokes that made the guests laugh. At some point, I couldn't take it anymore and got up to leave. I ordered an Uber and went home, crying the whole way. When Stephen finally got home, he seemed upset and angry. "Why did you walk out like that? Do you know how embarrassing that was for me?" he asked. "What are you talking about? Don't play dumb with me right now," I replied, feeling hurt. "Elizabeth, I had to endure my parents yelling at me while a lot of the guests pitied me for being with you." "Are you serious? What about how embarrassing it was for me?" I shot back. "Oh, come on, Elizabeth. You could have dealt with it for one night. It was my parents' anniversary, for God's sake. I was ignored by everyone, and your parents chose to make fun of me during their toast. How can you expect me to be okay with that? I'm not saying what they did was right, but you could have just gotten through it. I would have spoken to them about it after. What would that have done for me? I don't like being put in situations where I'm humiliated." Everyone was laughing at me. "You've never been in that position before, so it's easy for you to talk about it like it's nothing. My parents expect an apology from you," he demanded. "I want one too," I replied, feeling defiant. "I'm afraid I won't be doing that. I'll only apologize if they apologize to me first. I see no reason to apologize to you. You always stood up for me. I don't see why this is any different. This is very different. You humiliated my family in front of all their guests, and your parents humiliated me, your wife, in front of everyone. Maybe my parents were right about you. You're impossible," Stephen snapped before going to sleep in the guest bedroom. I couldn't understand why he had such a sudden change in behavior. Was it really that bad for him after I walked out? He was usually the first person to stand up for me, especially when his parents said hurtful things. For me to walk out should have shown just how awful they made me feel. Yet Steven didn't seem to care about that. Steven didn't talk to me for the next week. I also received a lot of texts from his parents, calling me ungrateful and an embarrassment. I tried to reach out to Steven, but he refused to talk to me. I decided it was time to apologize to Steven and his parents. Even that felt humiliating, but I was willing to do it because I loved Steven, and I didn't want this to be the thing that ruined our relationship. Unfortunately, things only got worse for me after that. Steven's parents retired and started hosting family dinners every week, and Steven was always invited. The first time they had a dinner after our wedding, Steven brought me along with him to their house. As soon as I stepped inside, I could feel the awkwardness in the air. Laura was busy getting ready and didn't see me right away, but Eric and Steven's siblings glanced at me awkwardly. They didn't talk to me, and Steven left me standing there alone while he caught up with his family. When Laura finally came downstairs, she spotted me and practically stormed over, furious. "What are you doing here?" she demanded. "Excuse me?" I replied, taken aback. "No, I will not excuse you. What are you doing in my house right now?" "Well, you invited us for dinner," I said, trying to keep my cool. "Wrong. I invited Steven because it's a family dinner. I'm Steven's wife, so I'm part of this family, am I not?" "Absolutely not. An orphan like you deserves no place in this family," she snapped. "What? You thought you could hide that detail from us? We do background checks on our children's spouses, and you are not in my son's league whatsoever. I will never accept you here." "Why not? Is that the only thing that determines whether I get to be part of your family? You're ugly and poor. You'd never fit into our elite circles. Why are you being so superficial? Are you scared I'll damage your reputation just by existing? Does the fact that I make your son happy not satisfy you? If happiness could make someone rich, then a lot of people would be billionaires. This is exactly why you'll never fit in with us. Or, maybe I'll just never be as superficial as the rest of you because I value who a person really is. You never even took the chance to know me before judging me. I'm glad I don't fit in with you. Elizabeth, that's enough. Here's some money. Get yourself an Uber and leave." I stared at Steven in shock as he held out the cash. He shoved it into my hands and turned back toward his mother, who smirked at me. Tears filled my eyes as I turned and walked out, feeling crushed once again. I cried the entire ride home in the Uber. I didn't understand why Steven had changed so much. Was this his way of making it up to his parents after the party? Whatever it was, it hurt, and I was angry with him. He was okay with his parents using my past as an insult while defending them instead of me, like he usually did. I wanted to scream, but I knew that would only make me look worse and prove their judgments right, so I walked away. I tried to think if I had said anything out of line, but I truly believed I hadn't. I was just standing up for myself, and I had done it calmly. After Steven came back home, he went back to ignoring me. My heart was breaking, and I felt so alone. I knew he expected another apology, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. After all, Laura had insulted me in the worst way, and Steven was angry at me for standing up for myself. If anything, I thought I deserved an apology from him. For the next 2 weeks, Steven and I didn't talk to each other. It was hard at first, but I eventually got used to it. The family dinner still happened every week, and I spent those evenings alone at home, which, to be honest, I didn't mind too much. On one of those nights, my parents video called me. "Hey honey," they greeted. "Hey sweetie, how's it going?" my dad asked. "Hey dad." "Hey mom, things are not good." "What's wrong, sweetie? If you need help with anything, feel free to ask us." "I don't think this is something you guys can help me with, but thanks for offering," I replied. "Where's Steven?" "Is he not helping?" my mom asked. "That's the thing. He's part of the problem." "Oh sweetie, could you be a little clearer about what the problem is?" my dad asked. "Well, his parents are pretty wealthy and very snobby," I explained. "Oh, I hate those kinds of people," my mom said, sounding furious. "Tell me about it." "Anyway, they think I'm just some poor girl who can't live up to their standards and fit into their elite circles. They've made it their mission to humiliate me every time I meet them." "What the hell?" my mom exclaimed. "Oh yeah. And the last time I went over, Steven's mom thought it would be funny to call me an orphan as an insult. Oh, that woman. I'm going to claw her face off. How dare she call my precious child an orphan? Do they not know about us? What the hell has Steven been doing through all of this?" I didn't tell my parents about Steven because I knew their opinion of me would change if they found out, and I wanted them to like me for who I truly am, not for my wealth. But now Steven was siding with his parents and thought I was disrespectful for standing up for myself. "Honey, are you sure this is the man you want to be with?" my mom asked. "I love him a lot, but this isn't how I want things to be. We haven't spoken to each other in 2 weeks, and surprisingly, I'm okay with that." "All right, sweetie, I'll get you in touch with one of my friends over there. Don't worry about us not being able to help you out. I think we might actually be able to help you get a little sweet revenge." "What do you mean?" "Your dad and I are coming there next week. We wanted to take you and Steven on vacation, but now we can do more things together without him." "Really? Oh my God. I'm so excited to finally see you both in person again." That was the boost I needed. For the first time in a while, I felt genuinely happy. We continued talking for a little while longer. My dad explained his plan to help me, and after a while he asked where these family dinners were being held. As far as I knew, Steven's parents took turns hosting at their house and at different restaurants. Conveniently, the week my parents were coming, the dinner was scheduled at a restaurant. I needed to find out the exact location so I could give it to my parents. Thankfully, I had Steven's email on my phone. I knew that Laura and Eric loved to send emails to everyone about everything. It wasn't hard to find out the location, and I shared it with my parents. At the same time, my mom's lawyer friend contacted me, and we began the process of filing for divorce. When my parents arrived in the States, they checked into their hotel, and I went to meet them. We had lunch together, and afterward they sent me off for a spa day, paying for everything because they thought I deserved it. While I enjoyed my spa day, they were preparing to get revenge on my in-laws. My parents walked into the restaurant where Stephen and his family were dining. According to my dad, when they approached the table, Eric and Laura started murmuring among themselves, recognizing who he was. Mom later told me how the conversation went. "Hello," my dad said. "Oh my gosh, Mr. Larry, what brings you here?" "Oh wow, I just happened to see some familiar faces and thought I could drop in and dine with you." "Familiar faces? Who are you talking about, Mr. Larry?" "Well, I see Stephen." "Hello, a pleasure to meet you. Your daughter has spoken a lot about you. But speaking of my daughter, where is she?" "Your daughter? I'm afraid you're mistaken. I don't think she's here, but she should be, right?" "I'm sorry, Mr. Larry, but we didn't even know you had a daughter." "Of course I do, and she's married to Stephen." "What? I'm sorry, but I think you're mistaken." "Yes, his wife's name is Elizabeth, and she was an orphan." "Yes, I do know that, and that's why we adopted her." "Excuse me, you're her dad?" "Yes, and from what I see she isn't here. She's told me that she's had some problems with her in-laws, but now I see what the problem is." "It's you?" "No, she was the one who hid this huge detail from us. If we had known, you would have treated her better. She didn't want you to treat her nicely because of her background." "Oh well, she asked me to hand this over to Stephen." My dad handed Stephen the divorce papers and walked out. After that, it took only a couple of phone calls for many investors to pull away from Eric's business. It was satisfying to watch them crash down to the level they had once mocked. I received numerous texts from Stephen's family calling me nasty names, while some begged me to talk to my dad and ask him what he had done. Fortunately, Stephen signed the divorce papers without any hassle. After that, my parents and I went on a long vacation together. I had the time of my life and slowly began to heal. It hurt to lose the love of my life, but I also learned how important it is to stand up for myself. I'll be forever grateful to my parents for everything they've done for me, and I can't wait to see what else life has in store for me.